Brought to you by Miller Lite and Luther Auto. And now, to kick off your NFL weekend, this is Vikings Live.
Well, this place was a special one last Sunday as the Vikings were able to eke out a 28-27 win over the Panthers. And this Sunday, they wrap up a 3-game homestand hosting the Jaguars with a spot in the playoffs still within reach. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us here on Vikings Live as we look ahead at what's to come for the Vikings as they take on Jacksonville. Alongside Ron Johnson and Pete Bursich, I'm Hobie Artigue. Don Mitchell and Paul Allen will join us in just a bit. But, guys, look back at that game against the Panthers. This is a team that looks like it is riding a wave of success. The big question, though, can they stay on it in December, Ronald?
Well, in December, you got a tough stretch, but this first one is Jacksonville Jaguars. So, like PJ Fleck will say, this is the Jaguars championship season. You have to win this game. This is a very important game. Why? You don't want to put yourself behind the 8 ball and have to win against the Bucs and the Saints. If you win this one, you probably could split those two and then still win the last 2 games. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to be in the playoffs as long as the Cardinals, because they have to play the Rams again, or they have to play the Rams twice. And so that's that spot you want, is that 7th spot.
I think the other thing that's coming out of the win against Carolina is some confidence, meaning that you muff a punt late in the game, you still find a way to come back and win. You score on the 2-minute drive at the end of the half. You score on the 2-minute drive at the end of the game. These are the kinds of things that build confidence in a team, and believe it or not, that's all that it takes to really change things. And so the Vikings will hopefully have some confidence against Jacksonville, play a clean game. That's all you need to do. Play a clean game, make Jacksonville earn every point that they score, and the Vikings should come out on top.
Yeah, a big reason for the Vikings' success, too, has been the play of their quarterback recently, especially in the month of November. A big boost from Kirk Cousins. Look at this, putting up phenomenal numbers last month. A 124 passer rating, completing 72% of his passes, almost 1,300 passing yards, 12 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And that 1 interception really wasn't his fault in that game against the Bears. Let's just say last month it wasn't a great one for the Kirk Cousins haters club because he goes out, he wins in prime time. He leads the offense on a comeback win against the Panthers. Ron, what's going into this that just needs to stay constant as we reach the final 5 games for the Vikings?
Well, if you look at Kirk Cousins, the last 5 games, he is the number 1 quarterback in the NFL for passer rating. You look at third down, the last 5 games, the Vikings are right behind the Kansas City Chiefs with 8 yards gained per play on third down. So they're just moving the chains, and I think that's the key. More opportunities, more plays, and then they're getting into the red zone.
And I think the other thing I like about the way Kirk has been playing lately is even a couple times last week against Carolina, he just pulled the ball down and moved the chains. So he's not forcing anything. We saw that earlier in the year, especially against Atlanta. First play of the game, trying to force something, a square peg into a round hole, doesn't work. I think he's letting the game come to him a little bit. He still needs to hold on to the football when pressured, right? I mean, that's one thing. A couple weeks in a row, we've had fumbles that have resulted in touchdowns or point-scoring drives. So that, protecting the football, but that's something for him to work on. However, he's playing a lot faster. He's starting faster. He's not forcing things, and he's making quicker decisions when he's scrambling or when plays don't develop the way they should, and that's really good decision-making on his part.
Also, he gets Adam Thielen back this week, it looks like, the wide receiver removed from the COVID-19 reserve list. But also, you look back at the last game against the Panthers, Chad Beebe stepped up big time. Olabisi Johnson, he led the team in receiving yards. Ron, what do you think this wide receiving core is going to look like now that you put one of the leaders back in the mix?
Well, I hope Kirk Cousins continue to target and look at everybody like he did. Without Adam Thielen, what you notice, he had to go through his read progressions. He did not just stare down one guy and say, this is the guy I have to go to. I mean, you had 7 catches by B.C. Johnson. You had Chad Beebe. You had Justin Jefferson in the mix. You had Kyle Rudolph. I mean, he did target Tajay Sharp. So you look at what he was able to do and how he was able to find guys. I mean, B.C. Johnson's emergence back into the lineup, I think, was a key for his confidence as well as Kirk's confidence in him. And then you get Thielen back. That just adds Weapon X back to the mix.
Yeah, I think the major thing with Thielen back is you have a red zone target again. There's no question in our minds that when you get to the 20 and inside, Kirk Cousins loves to throw the football to Adam Thielen. So he's such a good route runner, and that's the difference. That's what you're missing when he's not in there, is you have a guy that knows how to read coverages, knows how to run routes, and then, Cousins just throws the ball to a spot, and Adam Thielen finds his way there. So the red zone passing game is going to get a shot in the arm with Adam Thielen back.
And, Pete, you mentioned the turnovers. I think that might be the biggest knock on this offense over the last couple of games. They had the 2 costly ones against Dallas. They had 2 against the Panthers that really were costly at the time. How concerned are you about that moving forward?
I mean, those things I think are easily fixed. I mean, ball security is always something that you preach. And all you do, you are what you practice. So you make it a focus in practice all throughout the week with ball security. Then you get better. What happened against Carolina, I don't think I'd be safe to say we won't see it again in our lifetimes. And that's 2 defensive touchdowns scored in 10 seconds by the same guy. So, I mean, that can't happen. You're not going to win a lot of football games. You're not, you win over 90% of your games when you score on defense, and they had that happen twice, and still, again, find a way to come back to win. That's, that speaks volumes, I think, for this team and what they're trying to do.
Yeah, fumbles, they're going to happen. Interceptions, that's the key. If he can stay away from the interceptions, I think some of these fumbles, they'll fix that.
Also, let's not forget about that Vikings defense and the job that they did against the Panthers in that game. They held them to only 13 points, and a big play in that game, whenever that punt was muffed by Chad Beebe, they only held the Panthers to a field goal too. Pete, just how confident are you in that side of the ball right now with the way they're playing down the stretch now?
I love the way that they played outside of really one play. You had Teddy Bridgewater miss a throw deep, and then they had a zone blitz. A guy was in the wrong spot, 41-yard touchdown reception. If they can eliminate those 30, 40-yard touchdown plays, they're going to keep teams, I think, to 20 points or less. And I think that's kind of the mark. And don't forget, DJ Wanham, the special teams, these defensive guys that play special teams, you block a field goal. And, in my opinion, the Carolina kicker missed the next 2. They gave him 1. He missed the final one of the game, the most important one. I mean, those are big plays. Those are things that stick with kickers. That thump stays in their head. So defensively, again, playing better, just eliminate that final mistake, 1 or 2 here and there in each game. And I love the way guys like Gladney are playing. He's playing with so much more confidence. I just love watching that kid develop week after week.
Well, Kirk Cousins really got that Vikings offense purring against the Panthers last Sunday, and that led to NFC Player of the Week honors. Dawn Mitchell joining us now with more. And, Dawn, he had a great game against Carolina, but you look at the last month, too, and Kirk has been really, really good.
He's been very good. He's been calm. He's been accurate in this last game. 3 touchdowns, 307 yards. And we know those 3 touchdowns were big ones, right? 2 to Justin Jefferson and 1 that redemptive touchdown that Chad Beebe brought home for the game winner. But it's also Kirk's focus in the fourth quarter, his focus, his accuracy, and his calmness that has played a key role in all of this.
Empty backfield, 2nd and goal. Cousins to the end zone, touchdown, redemption for Chad Beebe.
Yeah, I just think he's kind of settled in here over the course of the last maybe 4 or 5 weeks. We really pulled from him. Last week you get in a game where the quarterback's really, the guy's got to bail you out of it when you get in that situation. So I just think Kirk has really settled down here the last maybe 4, 5, 6 weeks and been very steady in his play. And
steady, focused, and also finishing. Cousins and the offense doing so with confidence.
Yeah, definitely. Gary made a point of it after the Dallas game, and I think you saw it last week. And quite honestly, I think you saw it across our whole sideline. Even when we muffed the punt and defense had to go back out, we still knew that holding them to a field goal meant we could come get a touchdown and win the game. So it was really just a matter of seeing how much time we'd have and then going and executing and getting a touchdown in a 2-minute situation.
Cousins was impressive on their last 2 possessions of the game, completing 12 of 13 passes for 126 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 2-point conversion in that span. Chad Beebe said it was his leadership that helped him calm down for the final touchdown. And offensive coordinator Gary Kubiak was perhaps even more impressed with an off-scheduled play in the fourth to B.C. Johnson.
I think you got to give him the credit. When he came back from last year, we had kind of put together a book and said, okay, here's some things we want to improve upon. And that was a big key, making more plays with your feet. bailing us out of some bad situations or some bad calls with your movement and stuff. And really probably none bigger than that 3rd and 12 late in the game when we're down 2 scores. He makes a great play to Olabisi that kind of jump-started us and got us going.
So, yes, it's the Kirk Cousins everyone wants to see, and he did so without his trusty target in Adam Thielen. So if he continues to keep on this trajectory and you get Adam Thielen back, everyone is hoping that the sky is indeed the limit. Keep your fingers crossed and still try to win out for the playoffs. So we'll see what can be done this weekend against the Jaguars. Back to you.
Thank you, Dawn. And speaking of the Jaguars, they've lost 10 straight games, but the last four, they've not been landslide losses, maybe aside from the Steelers loss. But look at everything else. The Texans, they only lost by 2. To the Packers at Lambeau Field, they lost by 4. And then you look at the Browns game last week, they only lost by 2. Hey, guys, this is a team that is a far cry from where they were in the AFC Championship game just a few years ago. This is a team that kind of cleaned out its roster earlier on this season. But, Ron, what do you make of the Jags as they come into this building?
I have no idea what to make of them. You have no idea what's going to show up. I mean, Mike Glennon's going to play. Honestly, a wounded cat is a scary cat because you don't know what they might do to get out the corner.
Kind of like the Lions?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I think a couple of things. Defensively, they don't have a lot of depth at the defensive line position, and that's what Cleveland did. Cleveland just wore them down. Chubb ended up with 144 yards by the end of the day. 4 of their 5 starting corners were out, whether it's through illness or injury, so they were thin on defense. Offensively, you get Glennon in there. He's less flashy, but a little more consistent, like a good backup veteran should be. They have some weakness on their offensive line. I think the right side of their offensive line, it isn't the best in the world. However, you got a dynamic rookie running back. They have a lot of good things. So you just can't roll your helmet out on the field and expect to really just beat this Jaguars team.
As you've seen over the last 4 games, Pete. And also you mentioned that rookie running back, James Robinson out of Illinois State. He has just been dynamite, has kind of really taken the charge, if you will, in that offense, especially when Gardner Minshew went out.
He has, and he averaging 4.6 yards a carry, number 3 in the NFL in total yards with 680, 4.6 yards per carry average. I mean, he's a dynamic player, and we're going to see what he does very well. He has great vision, and he can get to the second level and break tackles. The only thing he might be missing is that top-end elite speed. Here's a little bit of a counter, and you can see as he knows exactly what hole that he needs to get to, and if that center could just wall off that the defense or the linebacker a little bit better, they wouldn't have been able to bring him down. But that's about an 8-yard gain. So they love to run the counters. A lot of the draw plays in outside zone. Here's an example of just a straight-up draw play, and they want to give him lanes. Now, you see the straight-ahead lane, that gap that's wide open right there. He flashes but sees it outside. That's vision. That's light and darkness. I mean, he's just reacting to what he sees in front of him, bounces it outside, and that's like a 12-yard run. So very consistent with these 10-yard-plus runs. Again, another draw play, up inside, plenty of options, but reads this one properly, stays to the front side of the center, takes it to the strong side, and right here you're going to see a lot of that. The shoe duster tackle. You're not going to bring this guy down if you don't put your shoulder pads on him. So a very, very impressive running back. I mean, he's not, like I said, he doesn't have that top end, like he's gonna burn you on if he just gets free, but he's gonna get to that second level quite a bit.
Also, in those successful runs, opening things up in the passing game too, Ron.
Yeah, and when you look at this first play, I mean, it's play action right away. And like Pete brought up, when you have a dynamic running back like that, you're going to get lanes in the passing lane because the linebackers are going to go with the run. So you see here, you got Colin Johnson at the top, but by going bunch, you're forcing the cornerbacks to have to play a called coverage. Play action, linebackers kind of go with the fake, and now he's going to throw the money on target, on time. The over is basically the 2 safeties are taken out by the second over route. This technically was going to be a post corner. And then when you look at the next one, and he's doing his little gritty, and when you look at the next one, same thing. They're going bunch again. What they're trying to do is get everybody in tight. You can run a ton of routes from this formation. And then you're going to have another deep over. Again, he's going to get the ball out of his hands fast. You got 2 guys running kind of a star route, and then you got the deep over. Glennon's on that 5th step. He's not hitching. He's just throwing the ball and getting out of his hand. A linebacker, because he had to bite a little bit, he could not get underneath the over route.
And still much more to come here on Vikings Live, including our player spotlight this week. Paul Allen chopping it up with the chef, Dalvin Cook, the guest tonight. I have much more when we return here on Fox 9.
You're watching Vikings Live. Brought to you by Miller Lite and Luther Auto.
Well, the Vikings offense has almost had a near-perfect recipe for success this season. Of course, due to the helping hand of the chef. Dalvin Cook has just been dynamite in the NFL this season, leads the league with 13 rushing touchdowns and only 1 yard behind Derrick Henry when it comes to rushing yards per game this year. For more with Dalvin Cook, Paul Allen catches up with him in this week's Player Spotlight.
Indeed, Hobie RG, what an honor. Dalvin Cook, running back for the Minnesota Vikings, is the Miller Lite Player Spotlight. Dalvin, in the Carolina game, did you ever get to the bottom of exactly who was trying to mess with your ankle when you guys were in that pile?
Yeah, it was the same number as me. I watched the play 1,000 times, trying to figure out what was going on. But I've been trash talking a lot, and I think I've been getting on people's nerves. So I don't know.
I think 14 touchdowns, 13 rushing has gotten on a lot of defensive coordinators' nerves. Now, with this year, this 2020, this weird 2020, no fans, great season, trying to get to the playoffs, whole thing. Is this the most fun playing football, at least in the pros, you've ever had? Because from afar, it sure looks that way.
Yeah, enjoying the moment. Trying to be that energy giver for everybody. I know a lot of guys, feed off the fans and their family come in, and just that natural routine just to get them going. And me, I know what it takes to, play in a backyard, just to play football and enjoy it. And that's what I love to do. So, if I'm that energy giver, I'm going to give it. And, I love this game so much. And that's just how I play the game, PA.
Dalvin, how great has your offensive line been for you this year? Whether it's catching screens, running, getting loose, whatever you're doing.
Yeah, they've been doing it all for me. Just giving them that confidence. I think coming off the bye week was key for us. Just getting right into it and going after Green Bay. And, knowing we could run the football and knowing we could screen teams. And that confidence just keep rolling over each and every week. And I see them just, keep growing, keep getting that continuity together. And, we got a great group in front of us.
Dalvin, any chance before the year is over, 5 games to go, that you run in another 2-point conversion? Because you have 3. And maybe you don't know this, and maybe John Ekstrom and Gary Kubiak are going to be, Kennedy Polamalu are going to be mad that I say it. The NFL record is 4. You have 3. Any chance?
It depends on the games. And I didn't know that. And it's crazy how, them 2-point conversions, be so good for our teams. But if it comes down to it, I'm going to get another one, PA.
Hey, Kirk Cousins is hot, NFC Offensive Player of the Week. What is it with you and Kirk that works so well in the screen game?
I think it's an understanding. I kind of feel a sense of urgency to get out and get the ball out to me. And I kind of know, a feel for Kirk, just being with him, for these couple of years, how he's trying to get this thing done, how he's trying to get the ball to me. And I think we just keep growing together. Being in the backfield with him, it's just like a great relationship between us.
What do you think of Justin Jefferson's game?
Everything. When we talk about a young, exciting player, that got a lot ahead of him, that don't really have a ceiling to him, that's Justin Jefferson. And you can just sum it up like that. Once I seen him walk in the building and how he carries himself, like a 5-year vet. So just going out there and just playing football each and every week and not letting nothing go to his head and just keep playing football. I respect him so much. And
Dalvin, being one of the very best in the game like you, and him probably being the best rookie receiver in the NFL, I would imagine you can appreciate when the high-enders like you guys, you do things that not everybody can do. Like Justin, in those 50-50 situations, he always gets it. You being so smooth in that screen game, not everybody's like that. That's a gift.
Yeah, it is. And when you talk about taking full advantage of it, I think that's what, that go unnoticed. We put the hard work in, and I think, putting the hard work in makes the game come so easy. And that's what make it look so natural for us because the hard work has already been put in during the week. And, Jefferson, he came in sometimes that, as my brother, I hold him to a high standard. And sometimes, he'll catch the ball sometimes and it just be like jogging out to the block. Just tell him just finish the play sometimes. Just go get that extra work in. And now he's doing it like without anybody telling him and taking that next step, yeah.
Last one or last two. When you played in high school and or at Florida State, Dalvin, were you an Adrian Peterson fan?
I was. Definitely was. If you wasn't, watching running back.
Yeah, the reason I ask, all-timer, top 1, 2, 3 for sure. You and Adrian, is there anything similar with your guys' games?
Yeah, he was actually, he obviously was a bigger back than me. The way he ran was kind of a bigger style than me. But I think as far as our mindsets and our determination and our will to get things done, it's kind of put in the same category. I'm more of a smooth, shifty runner. When it's time to put myself in the Lord or shoulder situations, I can do it. But I think that was Adrian's first initial thought to run through a guy and I'm going to the end zone and I'm outrun you. But I'm kind of like the total opposite. But that determination and that to get things done, I think we're right there in the same category.
Dalvin, thank you very much. Best of luck this weekend. Stay healthy, and we'll talk soon, okay?
Love you, PA.
Hobie, love you too. Hobie Artigue, Fox 9, Dalvin Cook, Miller Lite Player Spotlight.
Oh, we're feeling the love here on Vikings Live. Let's see if the Vikings can get some playoff love in the next few games as they make a push to stay in the hunt for a postseason spot. That's coming up.
to Vikings Live. Brought to you by Miller Lite and Luther Auto.
Here's a look at where things stand for the Vikings in the playoff picture. It's crazy. After that start to the season, there they are, only one position out of getting a playoff spot in the wild card race, and a big one. Ron, you alluded to it earlier. The Cardinals and the Rams play this weekend, but still the Vikings are going to need to take care of some business. They need some help, that's to say the least, but still, they first have to win as many games as they can in these final five, Ron.
Yeah, well, the good thing is the Cardinals and the Rams play twice. And so, I mean, honestly, you don't want them to split. You want one of the two to just beat the other one twice, because then that's going to either push the Cardinals out or it's going to bring the Rams back down to you. So that's the goal.
Yeah, and you also get the opportunity to play two of the better teams in the NFC South with Tampa Bay. You beat them. That's bodes well for all the tiebreakers. So if you win out and you can win the rest of the season, I mean, all you need to know as a player is that your destiny's in your own hands. You're in control of it. They just have to, I think, run the table.
Run the table, you say? Tall order, but we're here to break it down here on Vikings Live. No Thursday night football tonight, but there is football here on Fox 9, and it includes Minnesota United as they take on Sporting KC in the Western Conference semifinals in MLS, arguably the biggest match in franchise history up to this point as they look to advance to the conference finals. You can catch that game coming up right here on Fox 9 at 7 o'clock. But after this, the Fox 9 News at 6:30 for Ron Johnson, Pete Bursich, Don Mitchell, and Paul Allen. I'm Hobie Artigue. We'll see you next week, but enjoy Minnesota United's match coming up in just a little bit.
Presented by